name is Linda Black Elk, and she'll tell us more about herself when she gets started. So miigwech, Linda, and welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, miigwech, for that amazing prayer, and just for being here and being who you are. And I want to say thank you to NAC and everyone, Sarah, and everyone who helped to organize this and invited me in for this workshop. So normally I'm sitting inside in my kitchen doing these workshops. I've been doing a lot of them and trying to figure out a good way that we can all come together during this time and learn and teach, learn with each other from a distance. And that's actually been really hard. My family and I right now, we're on a foraging expedition, and so we're not home. And so I had to also try to think of a way to do this workshop remotely, but also because, plants don't wait for us. So we have to go out and, collect them when they're ready. So, it's not like I could say, well, I'll just leave the day after the workshop. So anyway, I thought the outlet in my van would work so that I could plug in my handy burner for you guys, but the plug in my van was not working. So we are in front of an abandoned farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, where they have electricity, and hopefully things will work out. But anyway, you can make a salve anywhere, and I really want you guys to realize that. If I wanted to, and if I had a little more time and I thought it would help you guys learn, I could even start a little fire and melt, heat up the oils and melt the beeswax over a fire, things like that. It's just, what we're going to talk about today. Once you learn the basic skill and learn how to basically make a salve, you'll never forget, and it is the easiest thing in the world, and you'll be amazed. Hopefully you'll be inspired to make your own salves and your own even lip balms and Vicks vapor rubs and things like that at home. So that's what I'm hoping for you guys. So I am Linda Black Elk, and I call myself an ethnobotanist. It's really sort of an academic term. But the reason I call myself an ethnobotanist is because I really don't like the word herbalist very much. I have a lot of friends who are herbalists, but what I do is different because I don't just use plants for food and medicine and building materials. I don't just teach about that. Plants are my relatives. They are my allies. They're my friends. I learn from them. I speak to plants and they speak back to me. It's a language that I've always really valued, and plants are sacred relatives, and I think that that's one of the biggest differences between what I do and what a herbalist does. I have a familial relationship with plants, so that's just a little bit about me. I'm from the Catawba Nation out east originally, but I grew up on the Standing Rock Reservation for most of my life. And I worked for a little while on Mille Lacs, which I loved, being around my Ojibwe friends and relatives. But then I started working again, and now I teach at United Tribes Technical College in Bismarck, which is a tribal college, and I work in food sovereignty there. So I do a lot of stuff with edible plants as well as medicine. So I'm super excited about our Cedar Salve workshop today, and just talking to you guys about some plants. And actually just sitting here at this old abandoned farmhouse, found a few plants sitting around out here. So I'll probably be showing you guys those as well. But before we get started, I first want for you guys, before I really get to talking, I want to ask and make sure that you guys, when you got your kit, you mixed the oils and the plants together. So this is the jar with the olive oil, with the cedar, and with the juniper berries, okay? I'll talk about those plants in just a second, but when I got my kit, I immediately mixed them together, and you can see that gorgeous olive oil has already changed color. It's really, the oil is really pulling a lot of medicine, a lot of medicinal compounds out of those plants, and it's turned this gorgeous, mine has turned this gorgeous darker green color. If you did not do this already, if you have not mixed your oils and your plants together, you might want to do that right now and set it in a warm windowsill, and then you can watch me make the salve today, and maybe you can do that in a couple of weeks. Normally when I start to infuse my oils with the plants, I let that happen for a couple of weeks. So let me back up just for a second. We're making a salve, okay? S-A-L-V-E, a salve. Also, people also call them balms. And all that means is that we are using some type of fat to pull medicinal compounds out of plants, okay? Very simple. So when we think of fats to pull medicinal compounds out of plants, what fats do we think of? Now, I love to use things like olive oil and coconut oil, sunflower oil, and almond oil, plant-based oils. But traditionally, of course, we didn't have that as indigenous people of this part of the world. We used things like buffalo grease, bear grease, animal fats. In particular, the Lakota really love the fat that's on the kidney of the buffalo. So kidney fat is a really prized sort of thing. And I know a lot of my Ojibwe relatives really love bear grease, and I do too. In the future, if you wanted to make this salve using bear grease or buffalo fat, you absolutely could do that if you have access to those. Or you could even mix your oils half and half. Do half coconut oil and half bear grease, or half olive oil and half coconut oil. Whatever you want, whatever you like, as long as you have the technique down. So that's all a salve or a balm is. It's just fats through which we are pulling medicinal compounds out of plants. And so that's what we are doing here in this jar. We have our cedar and we have our juniper berries that are infusing in a fat, in this case, olive oil. And we want to let that sit for a period of time. I love to let it sit for about a week or 2 weeks. If you want to speed up the process, you could actually put the ingredients in a crock pot for 24 hours on low and get them started, and then put them in a jar and let them sit for a few days. And that heat from the crock pot for 24 hours will really get that infusing process going, and it'll speed it up quite a bit. But we have had a little bit of time, and mine has been infusing for quite a while now. And so what you want to do, can you hold this? Pointed at me right there. Thank you. I have helpers. It's what you have to do when you have to make do, right? Okay, so you guys can see I have, I'm taking the lid off. And what I'm gonna do, let me grab my bowl here. Okay, so I have just a simple bowl, and I have a strainer with some cheesecloth in it. So if you guys are at home right now, and Sarah or the moderators of this, if someone has an important question to ask while I'm doing this, and it's something critical, you can certainly interrupt and let me know. But if you're at home right now and you're working along with me, grab a bowl, a nice clean bowl, and some type of strainer, and then some type of cloth, thin cloth. In this case, I'm using cheesecloth, but you guys absolutely make do. If all I had was an old flour sack, if all I had was an old t-shirt even, you can use an old t-shirt to strain out the plants from the oils, okay? So again, I have my bowl, my strainer, and my cheesecloth, and I'm just gonna take my jar and I'm gonna pour it in there. Try to get all of that goodness out of there, okay? And then what I'm gonna do, you'll have to lower the camera a little, is I'm going to squeeze so that I get all the oil. Do you see there's more oil coming out of there? I want to get all that beautiful infused medicinal oil out of there, okay? So we have a gorgeous infused oil here, and I can even take what's left over on my hands, and oh my gosh, that's gorgeous stuff. Very moisturizing. I never like to waste any of it. Okay, up a little more. Yep. Okay, so now I have my amazing infused oil, and all I'm gonna do is put this on the heat, okay, so that it heats up. I'm gonna just heat that up. And even before you start heating it up right now, so we have our gorgeous infused oil in here. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to stop right now and use this beautiful infused oil as a massage oil, like a cedar juniper massage oil, you could add some cedar oil in there and it'd be super sexy, and use it like as a cedar massage oil. It'd be super fun. You could stop right now and you have a fantastic infused oil. But we're making a salve, so we're going to continue to the next step, which is just to add some melted beeswax. So what I'm going to do before I put my oil on the heat, and I have this metal bowl, I'm just going to put it directly on the heat in this metal bowl. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my beeswax, my unmelted beeswax into there, and I'm going to heat the oil up and let the beeswax melt into it, okay? Can you please go put that on the burner? And I'll take this back. Okay. All right. So that's all we're doing right now. We've strained out our oil. We have that beautiful infused oil, and we added our unmelted beeswax to it. Now we're going to just let that beeswax melt into the oil. And then we'll pretty much be done. That's how quick it is. But we'll add our essential oils in a little bit too. Okay. So I'm going to move away from the vehicle a little bit, just so I can talk to you guys about why we're using cedar and why we're using juniper. So cedar, today we're making sort of a homemade Vicks vapor rub, okay? And I always think it's kind of funny because Native people love Vicks vapor rub, but Vicks is made with petroleum, right? It's a petroleum-based product. So it's basically made with the same stuff that you use to run your car. And let me tell you that stuff, petroleum-based products are not great for your skin, and they're certainly not good for your body. In fact, there's been some research to show that petroleum-based products, the long-term use of petroleum-based products, will actually cause microtumors underneath the surface of the skin. So I really personally prefer to use plant-based oils and beeswax rather than petroleum-based products. So that's why I would prefer you guys make your Vicks at home. It's also cheaper. It's way cheaper. Going out and getting cedar and juniper berries is basically free, right? You got to offer your tobacco and sing your songs and say your prayers, but those plants are basically free. Also, if you're rendering your own bear grease, there's another free product. But most oils are not all that expensive, and you can make so many salves from one bottle of olive oil that it's just, it's just a simple, inexpensive, easy thing to do. Okay, so why are we using cedar and juniper? It's because we're making a vapor rub, and cedar and juniper have essential oils that help to clear out and open up the lungs. Okay, so cedar, have you guys ever made cedar cough medicine or juniper cough medicine? I do it all the time. Cedar is wonderful for lung support. It helps to clear out mucus. So even burning cedar for a period of time and inhaling the smoke will help to clear mucus out of your lungs. Juniper berries, and of course we use cedar in ceremony as well. It's great for clearing the air and keeping things positive. If I have a really bad headache, sometimes I'll smudge with cedar as well. Cedar is a fantastic product. A friend of mine makes birch syrup infused with cedar, and it's one of my favorite cough medicines. But another of my favorite cough medicines is juniper berries infused into honey. So if you're in need of a fantastic cough medicine, you can take these same juniper berries like we're using in our salve today, and you can actually infuse those into honey and have an amazing cough medicine. A few of you guys have heard me talk about this numerous times, but I'm going to say it again just because it is so important. Okay, so let's just talk a second about cough medicine. We'll talk about it more in depth in the next workshop, in which we're going to make elderberry elixir. But plain honey has been shown through clinical trials to work better than over-the-counter cough medicine. And so imagine if you're adding some amazing traditional medicinal plants to that cough medicine, like juniper berries or like cedar, that honey is going to work even better at helping to treat a cough. So so cedar and juniper, both amazing medicinal plants on their own, fantastic working together, and that's why we're adding them to our salve. We'll also add some essential oils in there, and you guys have an essential oil blend, the Breathe Easy blend. Even that essential oil blend by itself is wonderful for helping to clear out the lungs. So if you need if you need an essential a little bit of essential oil on the chest, or even under the nose, that essential oil blend is great for lung support, and it's something that I like to use quite a bit. That blend, if you don't want to buy a blend and you want to make your own, I really like to use a combination of eucalyptus oil, camphor oil. Now that's Vicks Vapor Rub. Okay, so eucalyptus and camphor oil, those are pretty much the two essential oils that are used in Vicks. A lot of people like to use menthol as well. And I like that one, but it can be a bit strong for some people. So I really prefer to use the eucalyptus and the camphor together. But you can use all kinds of lung support essential oils, eucalyptus, camphor, lemon, orange, things like that, that really help to open up breathing passages. Okay, so if you were going to put other plants in your Vicks Vapor Rub, let's say you are an indigenous person from California, you have eucalyptus trees growing everywhere, and eucalyptus leaves would be perfect in here. You could put all sorts of other really fragrant, sorry, I think I swallowed a bug out here, you guys. Can I have my water? Oh God, my life. So for all of you, for the folks out there, whether you're a mom or you're a dad, I just want you guys to know that, I'm working, and this is all that it is, right? I'm working, we're out here foraging, we're camping, we are camping in random places. We have our bikes back there. My 4-year-old, where is he? I hear him around here somewhere. We have our 4-year-old with us. We're just parents, working and teaching and doing stuff. And I want you guys to all know that these times are really chaotic and it's difficult to get things done. But you just do it, right? I mean, I could have been like, oh my gosh, I don't have any way to melt this beeswax and make this oil hot to show these guys this. What am I going to do? And, I could have freaked out about it. But instead, I'm just like, you know what? It'll work out. We'll figure something out. We came up on an abandoned farmhouse that happened to have its electricity still on. And we figured they wouldn't mind, hopefully. Anyway, okay, so I'm with you guys. I totally know what life is like right now. Okay, so there are other plants that you can use. You can use eucalyptus leaf along with your cedar and your juniper. You can use other essential oils. You can use rosemary in there. Rosemary, fantastic lung support, really helps to break up congestion as well. And it's super easy. You guys probably have it in your medicine, or not in your medicine cabinet. You probably have some rosemary, dried rosemary in your spice cabinet right now. If you, bear root or osha root, as some people call it, would be wonderful in here as well. If you have some, if you don't, some people, you can even use things like celery tops and carrot top that have a similar smell. In case you don't know, bear root is actually related to celery and carrots. And so the tops of those are also really good for lung support. So you can add those as well. Okay, so there are all kinds of plants, you know, with salves and balms, you're really only limited by your imagination. You can use any combination of oils that you like, figure out which ones work best for you, and you know, figure out the vapor rub that we're making today. If you don't put the essential oil in there, it's completely safe for a newborn. Even with the cedar and the juniper in there, you know, if you wanted a really nice, like let's say you had a young baby, a very young baby with eczema or psoriasis, and you wanted a way to kind of cool and calm that eczema, you could absolutely use this without the essential oil. And I say without the essential oil because that Breathe Easy blend is kind of young for a little baby's skin. So just be careful with that. But yeah, you know, you're only limited by your creativity. Any combination of oils, any combination of plants, and any combination of essential oils, okay, that you like. Be creative with it. If you're making a lip balm, I don't think I'd like a eucalyptus lip balm, but some people love, what's that stuff called? That lip balm? What's that? Carmex. Yeah, Indians love Carmex. I've always found it to be too warm, you know, that tingliness, too much for my lips. So I prefer lip balms with things like lemon and grapefruit in them. But you could absolutely even use what we're making today as a lip balm if you like the cooling effect of that essential oil blend that you guys have. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to show you is this has the beeswax in it. Awesome. Through the miracles of television. It's like the cooking channel. Our beeswax is melted. So this is our olive oil that was infused with the juniper berries and infused with the cedar. And now it has the beeswax melted into there. Okay. We put it on a burner just for a couple minutes and it's all nice. Is you guys, did your beeswax melt nicely into there already? I hope. Okay. If anyone's having any trouble, you can let me know. Okay. Can you hand me those essential oils? Okay. So I have my, awesome. Thank you. So I have my oil here, my infused oil, and now it has the beeswax in it. And I'm almost done. If I want to, I can add just a few drops of eucalyptus oil. And this one I don't have the dropper for it, but I'm just gonna, okay. Just a few drops of eucalyptus oil. And I'm gonna add a few drops of camphor oil as well. And this one does have a dropper on it, so I can just count 1, 2. Okay, about 10 drops of each, just because I have quite a bit of it here. But with your essential oil blend, you can add as much or as little as you want, depending on how strong you want those essential oils to be. So that essential oil blend, oh, sorry. Here's what was lemon. Oh, lemon and then camphor. So I'm doing eucalyptus, lemon, and camphor. Okay. If you didn't want it, I like my essential oils to be strong, and this one's going to be a really nice strong vapor rub. I'm going to actually give this one away to an elder over here in Minnesota. So I wanted to make it. She likes things that are very fragrant. But if you don't want to add the essential oil blend, you don't have to. If you want it to be really strong, add 20 drops. If you want it to be weak, only add 10. And then you can go from there. And you know what? If you decide tomorrow, you know, you use it tonight and you decide tomorrow, oh, this isn't strong enough. I really wish I put more essential oil in there. Just kind of remelt it on the stove and add more essential oil to it if you want. Okay. That's totally up to you and you can do that. Okay. So you guys, we're done with our salve. It's that easy. Okay. It's literally just the plants. Can you open that for me? It's just all a salve is the plants and the oil, infusing for a while, and then you add melted beeswax. That's all it is. Plants, oils, and beeswax, okay? And then you add the essential oils if you want, but you don't have to. Plants, oils, and beeswax. That's the base for any lip balm. Burt's Bees is one of the most famous, popular, most desired lip balms around right now. And if you look at an ingredients list for Burt's Bees, it has tons of yucky stuff in it, okay? Tons of like not natural stuff in it. We just made a salve that's completely organic, totally natural, traditional, except for the olive oil. Well, it's traditional for people over there, but traditional except for the olive oil. And that's all it is. It's super simple, okay? And you can use this as a chest rub to thin mucus. It's really important right now because COVID-19 is affecting people's lungs terribly. So having this kind of nice lung support chest balm around is really great. But you can use it. Remember the eucalyptus, the Breathe Easy essential oil blend is actually antimicrobial too. So if you put some below your nose underneath your mask, that would help to prevent breathing in bad stuff as well. So I would definitely use that that way. Okay, so we're just going to take our, and you can see, look at that, my salve is starting to harden around the edges already. And we're gonna take that and we're gonna pour it into, let me show. You guys all have a jar about this size, about 4 ounces. And we're gonna take our salve and we're gonna pour it into our jar. Okay, leave a little bit of room at the top. You might actually have enough for 2 jars, okay? But do not put a lid on. Hold on, everybody listening to me out there? Do not put the lid on until the salve hardens, okay? You'll regret it. Sometimes that'll cause the lid to seal and it becomes almost impossible to open. But also it just gets kind of messy. If you want your salve to look nice on top, do not put the lid on until the salve hardens, okay? So we're gonna set that aside. Now, I also wanted to show you guys, can you take the lid off of that, please? That I have these cute little tins. These are little 1/2 ounce lip balm tins that I bought. And I'm gonna put some in here because I know some people who love Carmex, and we basically just made homemade Carmex with traditional ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to fill up a couple of these lip balm tins. See this? And again, do not put the lid on until they harden. If you have a leftover lip balm container from any fancy bougie lip balm you might have bought, or even if you just have a small jar container, you can use baby food jars for salves. Lots of people get little jars full of spices and things like that. And you can use those as well, as long as they're very, very clean. Okay. So right now, that fast, that easy, we just made an amazing traditional salve. We made a cedar juniper chest balm. Okay. And that's, like I said, going to thin that thick mucus that gets stuck in your lungs. When you work with plants and when you work with illness and health, you get used to talking about bodily fluids, which I can freak some people out. So I have no problem saying the word mucus. Okay. And this chest balm will help to get rid of that. It'll help to break it up and thin it so that you can cough it out more easily. Okay. Which is really important. Cough suppression isn't really what you want to do. What you want to do is actually make your coughs more productive and get that stuff out of your lungs. COVID-19 affects 2 systems the worst. It affects people's digestive system, right? Their intestines and things like that. And then it affects the lungs, our respiratory system. So we have to keep those healthy. And we can talk about that. Plants for lung support. I'm eating tons of fermented foods. I'm trying to avoid sugar and processed foods, sugar, salt, dairy, things like that. But I'm making sure to eat a lot of traditional foods and a lot of fermented foods. But I have a lot of these amazing plants around, such as the cedar and the juniper, to also help with lung support, and to make my chest balms and to use otherwise, and even to make teas. For the next workshop, not only will we be talking berry elixir, but we'll be talking about teas as well. Teas for lung support and digestion. I saw a question. Let me. Can I add bear root to my oil? Yep, you can. You can absolutely add. If you still want to let, now that I've demonstrated how easy it is, if you still want to let your oil infuse and you wanted to add some eucalyptus leaves, or you wanted to add some bear root in there, feel free. Absolutely, you could do that, and let it infuse for a few more days. Let's see. Can you use the plants again or just one time? Oh, that's a great question. Only use the plants one time, especially if you let them infuse for a while. So here's the plants wrapped up in that cheesecloth, okay? Maybe yours are gonna be wrapped up in a t-shirt or something. Basically all the medicine is out of these plants because I've let them infuse for a pretty significant period of time. I will take this ball of plants wrapped in the cheesecloth, and I'm gonna throw this in the bathtub the next time I take a bath, and it'll infuse the bath water with all those leftover gorgeous oils. So I'll keep that as a bath sachet, but other than that, you don't wanna use them again because the medicine is pretty much gone. Okay, let me see if there's, yep, the oils come after melting the beeswax into the olive oil, definitely. Okay, so the essential oil drops, okay. All right, so are there, oh, I wanted to show you guys. Look, my lip balm has already started to solidify. Amazing. Smells fantastic. Okay, so let me just reiterate. I know you guys have the recipe, but I want to reiterate how easy it is to make a salve or a balm, okay? You pick out an oil or a combination of oils, any combination of oils that you like. Sunflower oil, coconut oil. I love coconut oil, by the way. I use it all the time. It's not traditional for my people, but I love it. I love using bear grease. Any combination of those, okay? Pine pitch, if you wanted to use pine sap, you could definitely use that. Not technically a fat, but still, kind of something that you'd need to melt down. You could even use some of that. Pick your combination of oils, your base oils. Pick your combination of plants. If you want to make a salve for arthritis, maybe you're going to instead add some really warming herbs like cayenne pepper, things like that, nettles, okay? Nettles and cayenne would make an amazing salve to treat arthritic joints, okay? So you pick out your combination of oils, you pick out your combination of plants, you let them infuse for a while, whether you let them infuse in a crock pot overnight or in a jar in the windowsill, totally up to you, okay? Just let them infuse for a while, then you strain them and add melted beeswax. That's all you do, okay? And I gave you guys the recipe, but I'll just say it out loud. When you're making a salve, for every 1 cup of oil you have, you use 1 ounce of beeswax. That's for a skin salve, okay? A lot of times with my lip balms, I like those to be a little more firm, right? Salves, skin salves, you kind of want them to be spreadable. When it comes to lip balms, you like them to be a little harder or a little waxier. So when I'm making a lip balm, for every 1 cup of oil I have, I use 2 ounces of beeswax. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that. For a salve, 1 cup of oil, 1 ounce of beeswax. For a lip balm, 1 cup of oil, 2 ounces of beeswax. Okay. I think I saw a question come up, so I'm just going to look at that. How long will the salve keep? Great question. The salve will keep for a really long time. If you, do any of you guys have any vitamin E capsules laying around? Like maybe you were taking vitamin E for skin health. If you squeeze a little vitamin E capsule into your salve jar, you'll have a little bit of vitamin E oil in your salve. But it works as a preservative. And if you have that in there, that salve will keep for like 4 years, okay? But otherwise, it'll keep usually for about a year or two. Now, when I say it'll keep, it never really goes bad. But you guys know how oils are, right? They start to smell rancid after a while. And so I think this one would probably start smelling rancid after about a year. Now, I'd personally still use it. No big deal. It's still going to have all those gorgeous medicinal properties, but it'll smell a little weird. Okay. Any questions? Any other questions on that we have going there? Thanks for posting that, Sarah. So Sarah just posted the recipe in case you don't have it, or maybe you threw the paper away that came in the box, which I do that stuff like that all the time. But any other questions on the salve so far? Yep, I'd use 1 tablet for a 4-ounce jar of salve, one vitamin E tab. Yep. Any other questions, you guys? Okay. Hey, can you hand me my basket there, just so I can show these guys? So you guys, just in a really small area in central Minnesota, I just wanted to show you guys some plants that I found, that I foraged yesterday. You know, just because they're around. And I wanted you guys to know, like, a lot of people are having trouble eating right now, having trouble affording food, but a lot of people don't want to go into stores right now because they're trying to social distance, and going out and getting wild foods this is like the perfect time and the perfect way to do it. Hold on, I got a question in here. So infusing in the sun inside versus outside. I just put the jars in my windowsill, and at any given time I have a bunch of jars sitting in my window. It's just the way that I prefer it. But if you want to keep them on your kitchen counter, you can definitely do it. Okay. You can just keep it sitting on your counter in the kitchen. It just might take a little longer. I really feel like the sun helps to pull the medicine out of those plants. Okay, for the juniper berry and honey cough syrup, what quantity of each would you suggest? So I'm a big believer in listening to your body. But that said, okay, so I guess the reason I'm saying that is, if you, I would start off, if I have half a cup of honey, I would put about a 1/4 cup of juniper berries in there, and I would not make it too hot. Now you can heat it very slightly just to melt the honey a little bit and get it to start to infuse, but you'll kill the medicinal properties of honey if you overheat it. That's why raw honey is more medicinal than pasteurized honey, okay? So don't ever overheat your raw honey, all right? I just need to make that clear. That said, if you add a 1/4 cup of juniper berries to half a cup of honey and it tastes too strong, or your 5-year-old will not take a spoonful of it because they're like, ugh, that's terrible. Next time, add 1/8 of a cup of June berries instead and start off there. It's still going to work. It's still going to be better than over-the-counter cough syrup. You know, and we have to listen to our bodies, right? So I always say that when I make tea, I do about a cup of hot water per tablespoon of herbs. And I had someone tell me that a tea that they were drinking was making their heart beat super fast. And they said they did 1 tablespoon per cup of water, just like I told them. And I said, well, why didn't you just use half a tablespoon instead, you know, and try that instead of giving up on the plant altogether? Which they did. They were like, oh, I'm never going to take that again because it made my heart beat fast. Listen to your body, and you know, we have to learn to trust ourselves. The problem with a lot of Western medicine, and I love Western medicine, I have a relationship with Western medicine, but the problem with it is that we're being taught to not listen to our bodies, and to just sort of trust labels and people who don't know us very well. So you know, I'm asking you guys, trust your body, listen to it. And for instance, if this salve, like this balm, this chest balm we made, if you put it on your chest and it's too warm and you're like, oh, that's a little too warm, use a little less essential oil next time that you make it, okay? Or you could even add a little more oil to your balm and save it, okay? Okay, let Thank you guys. Putting them outside in the sun. Yep, you can put them outside in the sun. Your salves, your oils to infuse outside in the sun. Sometimes they might get a little too warm that way. So it's totally up to you. You could probably decrease the time. I would just check on them and see how they look and smell after about 4 or 5 days of being outside, and see if you like that. And if you do, by all means, put them outside. I have friends who infuse theirs outside on tables, and they have all sorts of jars sitting outside all the time. One of my friends lost all of their jars, infusion jars, to a bear who came in and for some reason knocked every single jar over. So, so just be aware of that if you live in bear country. Okay. Oh, I just wanted to show you guys real quick. Look what I got yesterday. Asparagus. The asparagus is ready, and sorry I haven't eaten yet today. The asparagus is ready and amazing and delicious right now. So if you know of a good spot for wild asparagus, right now's the time. There are also tons of wild mustards growing right now. You'll see a lot of this yellow flower on the side of the road, all the way from Minneapolis, all the way up to Red Lake. There's this yellow mustard plant on the side of the road. And it's really good too. It's like horseradish, okay? So if you wanted to chop it up and, mix it with some mayo and put it on top of your steak, you could definitely do that, okay? But it's very horseradishy, kind of spicy, but yummy. You could use this as a mustard substitute as well. And I wanted to show you guys what else is ready. The catnip is ready. Okay, now this catnip is a type of mint. This is also good lung support, you guys. Drinking a tea out of catnip is very good for your lungs. Catnip is a member of the mint family, and so it has a perfectly square stem. I don't know if you guys, can you kind of see that on there? It's shaped like a box or a square, perfectly square stem, and leaves that are opposite of each other on the stem. Notice how the leaves here are directly opposite of each other. Smells fantastic. This is the stuff that makes cats go crazy as well. But the catnip is perfect and ready right now, and it's great lung support. Catnip tea is really good for the lungs, especially for elders. But it's also good for fevers in young children. I use this a lot, even for little babies, just giving them a few drops of it, and it will help them to work through the fever and basically sweat it out. I've been able to break a fever overnight using catnip tea. So it's ready right now too. And you can look up pictures of it. And if you have questions, or if you're like, okay, is this catnip? It looks like the plant she had, but I don't know. You could always send me a picture and I could identify it for you. Okay. Because I don't want you to be too scared of it. We're way too scared of our traditional medicines. Is the wild mustard less spicy if it's growing in a shady area? Sometimes, and it depends on the species of mustard. There are 100 different kinds of wild mustard growing around right now. And they're all pretty good. Hey dear, can you hand me that tall wild mustard and the one that's growing underneath it right there? I just want to show you guys. So sometimes they're a little less spicy when they're growing in the shade. Just like stinging nettles, sometimes they're a little less stingy when they're growing in the shade. When they're growing in the shade, I actually find that the flowers have more of a broccoli flavor, which is nice. And I sometimes will use them like as a broccoli substitute, but it's kind of like a mixture of broccoli and horseradish, which, has its culinary applications. Sorry about that. Has its culinary applications and is yummy. Sorry. It's really good. Oh, you know what else is ready right now? And actually, guys, this is really amazing. If you guys know someone who is a new mother, raspberry leaf is everywhere in Minnesota and in the eastern part of the Dakotas. Raspberry leaf is fantastic support for uterine health. Okay, it's also great to help produce more milk. And there's tons of gorgeous raspberry leaf. They normally have 1, 2, 3 like this, and you can see the little, notice the little, can I get those to show? There's like the little, you know how raspberry bushes have thorns on them? You can see the little thorny hairs. Oh, there you go. See those little thorny hairs on the stem of the leaf? So 3 leaflets, those little thorns, usually a shrub, and they're kind of silvery on the other side. So notice green on this side, kind of silvery on this side. Okay, that's how you can identify a raspberry leaf, and they're ready right now as well. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns? Let me see here. Catnip tea, dry it out, then boil it, or steep it in hot water. Yep, I prefer steeping just because it's a leaf, right? And so there's 2 types of teas we'll talk about next week, but just so you guys know for now, steep the catnip leaves, steep the raspberry leaves, because they're kind of soft plant parts, so you don't really have to boil them. Okay, now what else did I see there? Is there a resource that you provide that shares these recipes with the plants that you're sharing today? Sarah and the other organizers, I think that we did put a paper in with the recipe and the names of the plants that we used today. I believe. We'll figure that out in a second, but I think we did that. Is raspberry different from other berry bushes like blackberry? They are. I use blackberry leaf as well, pretty much interchangeably. It's very similar, but raspberry leaf does have more of those medicinal compounds in it. And blackberry usually has 5 leaflets instead of 3, unless it's really young. Okay, but it's not going to hurt you. Like if you accidentally get blackberry leaf instead of raspberry leaf, you're going to be totally fine. Okay. Do you have to use the plants immediately, or is there a way to store them? I dry all my plants just because, I live in the Dakotas. And so if we could only use fresh plants, we'd be screwed, right? Because our growing season is super short. So the way that I dry plants, whether I'm living in the Dakotas or if I'm living in Minnesota, I just lay paper towels out on a table inside, and I set all my plants out and I let them dry like that until they're crispy, crunchy. I do use a dehydrator sometimes for bigger, thicker things. Like I dried a bunch of fiddleheads. I don't know how many of you guys like to eat fresh fiddleheads, but I dry my fiddleheads, and we dried tons of fiddleheads a couple weeks ago. And I used a dehydrator for that just because it takes a really long time otherwise. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Yep, you can definitely dry the catnip as well. Questions, comments, concerns? Do we want to have a little bit of discussion? Sarah, do you or can someone tell me if we put the names of the plants and everything in? You're so welcome, Renee. If we put the names of the plants in the boxes. If not, we can send an email out to participants maybe that I can write up with more information.
Sure, if you'd like to do that, we can. We just put the recipe into the kits.
Okay, so there's a recipe in there. Yep. And admittedly, like just saying cedar can mean something different depending on where you're at, because I have friends out east who call juniper cedar interchangeably. So they're like, what do you mean you're using cedar and juniper? Isn't that the same plant? So that's why I use a lot of scientific names. Like the cedar that you guys are using in yours is Suja Occidentalis. And I'm not sure which juniper you guys are using, but you can use any of those juniper berries, any of them. And yes, you can use juniper leaves as well. They're not as strong. They don't have quite the same level of that junipery essential oil that's in the berries. So if you're going to use juniper leaves instead, use more of them, okay? Just so it's stronger. I mentioned that there's going to be another workshop with elderberry. Sarah, what's the date for the elderberry workshop?
Isabel, did you want to release that date?
Sorry, guys. Maybe we don't.
Well, I would just say that we're going to be doing it similar to, this round we had to wait for a lot of these medicines and ingredients to come in, and we were really nervous that we weren't going to be able to get everything on time. But we do have a date, and we'll be releasing that out via Facebook invite, just like we did, or event, just like we did with this. So keep an eye out. It's going to be limited to spots again, but again, it's going to be the same thing. We'll record it, and then you'll have the opportunity to purchase those ingredients yourself. If we sell out like we did this time, which I'm sure we will. So keep an eye out.
So the next date of the event, for the next event, is June 3rd.
Okay, June 3rd. Thank you guys so much for that.
23rd. 23rd.
Oh, 23rd. Oh yeah, June 3rd is like next week. Okay, June 23rd. Okay, I saw a question about talking about juniper more, and it's such a common, amazing plant that I think a lot of people it's so common that it gets kind of ignored. And I guess I wanted to say that juniper is fantastic, gentle medicine to use internally and externally. Okay, so in this case, we're using it externally because we made a balm that'll be used on the outside of our bodies. But we'll be, of course, breathing in the aromas and the oils that juniper has given off, and they've gone into that infused olive oil that we made. So we're using it externally, and that's for lung support. Juniper is also very cooling to the skin. So if you've ever used juniper oil and you've put it on your skin, you know that it makes your skin feel kind of cool, like icy hot. It's very cooling to the skin, which is great for hot rashes like eczema and psoriasis. It helps with the itch. But juniper is also great used internally, okay? It helps to thin mucus. If you make juniper tea, you can make it from the leaves or the berries, and it helps to strengthen the lungs. It actually helps to strengthen the little cilia, the little kind of hair-looking things on the inside of your lungs, on the inside of your breathing passages, helps to keep those strong. Juniper does. And then I use juniper even for, I make eye drops, and I'll use them for styes, juniper for styes as well, for externally as drops. You could use the salve too, as long as it didn't get too close to your eye. Okay. Is there anyone who should not use cedar juniper combination? Not sure if I missed this. Okay. So that's a great question. So if you're using cedar and juniper externally, I personally don't know of any people who will have an issue with that. Cedar used internally. I have friends who are Salish, Coast Salish, friends up in Canada, who are Cree, who have always been taught that women never drink cedar tea. Okay, now let me tell you something. I would not drink cedar tea if I was pregnant, because it can cause the uterus to contract, okay? But I have friends who drank cedar tea throughout their entire pregnancy, but I was always taught not to do that. My Canadian friends, a lot of my Canadian friends never drink cedar tea. They were always taught that women don't do that. Women don't drink cedar tea. It's not good for them. Cedar contains a compound called thujone, and that actually can cause reactions in some people in high levels. Now, plant medicine, the nice thing about it is that it's super gentle, right? And when you're drinking a tea, you're getting very little thujone from cedar. You're getting very little of that good medicine. But if you have in the past had a reaction to thujone, don't drink cedar tea. There's other stuff you can drink, but you can still use the salve, the balm externally, and that won't hurt you. Okay? So it's a matter of knowing yourself, knowing what you're allergic to, and taking the time to you know, I talked to an Ojibwe elder who worked with plant medicine, and she you know, we don't use the term medicine woman or whatever, and she never would have used that word, but I was talking to her about medicine, and she said one of the hard parts for her and one of the reasons she stopped treating people later in her life is because everyone wanted the quick cure. Everyone wanted the pill. They wanted the thing that worked immediately. And plant medicine, traditional medicine, isn't like that. It's gentle, and we have to give it time, and we have to be patient. And you know, it's hard. Like, even as a mother, like, if my kid is super sick and I know that oh, they have strep throat, and I could give them an antibiotic and they'll be pain-free by tomorrow, or I could wait just an extra 24 hours, right? Because most studies have shown that antibiotics only make children better 24 hours sooner than if you had never given them an antibiotic at all. 24 hours. So as a parent, if I can be patient and allow my child to heal themselves with with traditional medicine, and be patient and say, okay, it's only going to be an extra 24 hours, and they won't have all of those side effects from the antibiotics. If I can just be patient and trust this medicine, it'll be better in the long run, right? I know as a mother that's hard. As a parent that's hard, but you know, it's better for us in the long run. And the fact is, I mean, look around us right now with everything happening with COVID-19, and you know, even the stuff that's happening to our relatives and to a lot of you in the Twin Cities area. We're gonna have to start thinking about this and start trusting our traditional medicines more and more. We're probably gonna have to start turning to them more. One study that I have my children, my students do all the time is I always have them look up the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States on the CDC website, and prescription medication is often in the top 10 leading causes of death. So I you know, and that's not to say that I don't use it at all. Okay. We have a family doctor that we go to, rarely, but we do, you know, and it's just that my 16-year-old son said to me when he was 12, he was like, I wonder how many times we would have had to go to the doctor if we didn't have our traditional medicine, you know, and I bet it would be a lot more. So trust and be patient and trust yourselves as well. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I think we're getting to the end, but I'm definitely happy to take more questions.
Hey, Linda. So yeah, we could take probably one more question. The clinic is closing a bit early today, just given the circumstances that are happening. And I'm at the clinic and I'm recording. So if we could take one more question, I apologize, you guys. I know this is like such amazing information. And as we said, we're hosting 2 more of these type of events in the near future. So please just stay tuned, but we will take one more question and we'll have to wrap it up. So miigwech for everyone that joined. I really appreciate it. I hope this was helpful.
Okay, while we're waiting for someone to maybe post a question, I just wanted to say that I'm with you guys, and I'm actually not too far away from you guys right now, and I'm praying, and I love you guys so much, and please be careful there. And I know you guys, we're all trying to find the balance between standing strong for our relatives, and we're all super hurt by what's happening to them and to us right now. But you know, stay safe. We're all trying to find that balance between supporting them and also trying to stay safe and protected. So I'm thinking of you guys, and I hope you're staying safe wherever you're at right now. So. Any other questions about the salves? Oh, there are 2 types of white cedar, right? Can you talk about that a little? So, yep. So the one that we had for our salve today is, and I personally, I don't call either of them white cedar. So, but some people do. And so let's use scientific names. Bear with me just for a second. What we're using today is Suja Occidentalis, the one that grows further west, which looks almost exactly the same and has the same medicinal properties. Although some people say the one that grows in the west is a little stronger, that's Suja plicata. Okay, so I use both of them. I use them interchangeably. I burn them. I use them for salve. I use them for tea. But they just grow in different regions and areas. Now that's me personally. I have friends who live out west, and they always say like, "Oh no, our cedar's better than the one that grows out east." So that's totally up to you guys and a personal preference thing, I think. So he's playing with the van door right now. So okay. All right, I can't wait to see you guys all again. Thank you to everyone who stayed on, especially if you're in a situation, and I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys for the next workshop. If you have any questions on the salve, on the ingredients that you think of later, you can definitely, the clinic has a way to get a hold of me. I hope you guys enjoyed this and that you feel confident that you could actually make a salve at home in the future, or make a lip balm even at home in the future. Let me know. Okay.
Miigwech, Linda.
Miigwech, thank you so much.
Gigawabaman.
Idamaya miigwech, you guys.
Gigawabaman, everyone. Hope to see you soon.
Wewene.